Hello, Ashley here with HeartHookHome.com, and today we are starting the Dragon Tears Coin Purse Crochet Along. I am super excited to start this crochet along with you. We are going to have so much fun making this coin purse. So this coin purse uses the dragon scale pattern. We start with double crochets along the bottom. We'll make the dragon scales. We'll make that top casing right here. And then on part 2, which will be posted next, we will go ahead and add this lining and the zipper. It's a lot easier than it sounds, and by the time we're finished, you will be able to do this to any other crocheted bag. So we're really gonna up our crochet game with this one. I'm excited. The supplies you need, we are using cotton. I love this cotton because I like how soft it is. You could use acrylic if you wanted to. It does get beat up a little bit more since it's in your purse. It might start to pill and get a little fuzzy. So I use cotton just because. If you wanted to use acrylic, feel free to do so. Now this pattern for this size of the purse, we have this one that's a coin purse size, and then there's another one that's larger that's a cosmetic bag size, and then we have a full size purse pattern. So depending on which size you're making, you're either going to use 50 yards, which is about this size, or 150 yards, which is the coin or the cosmetic bag size, or you're going to use about 350 yards for the full bag. Then you will need a corresponding zipper. I go with the invisible zipper. You can use a polyester and that will work just fine. You want it to be at least 7 inches long. They didn't have this color in 7 inches, so I just got the 12. When it comes time, we're just going to cut it where we need it to be anyway. So if you don't find it in the right size, in the same color, then just get a longer one and you can trim it up. So just try to make sure that those look nice together. That's as close as I could get. Then you're going to need fabric for your lining. So what works really good for this pattern are these fat quarters. You can buy these at just about any craft store. I think Walmart has them the cheapest regular price. One of these is the perfect size for a lining. Look at that little owl winking at you. Isn't that adorable? So yeah, you're just gonna find one of these fabric quarters that works really well with the fabric or the yarn color that you chose. This is the perfect size for either the coin purse size, the cosmetic size, and maybe even the purse size, depending on how large you make it. So you'll need one of these in your corresponding color. For me, with this pattern today, I am using this color that we just had. This is my lining color. This is my zipper color, and then you're going to want to pick a thread that matches your yarn. If you have a different color combination, you want your thread to match your yarn, because when you go to sew in those stitches on the side here, you want to make sure that your yarn matches, or your thread matches your yarn, because if I had used the gray color, right, or that yellow color, and I'm sewing on the outside here, you would be able to see that, or there's a potential that you could see it. So I'm using the purple to really kind of hide that and mask those thread stitches. So let me get started. First, you're going to need to pull out my hook here, my 4mm hook, which is a G in most crochet hooks. Now we are going to get ready with our pattern. Make the bottom of the bag for the crocodile stitch. Let me find my end here. I don't know. Let's see if I can find it. It's in there good. My goodness. Okay, there we go. Let me find the end real quick. Holy moly. Talk about a mess. Okay, there's my end. See if we can make this come out nicely. There we go. All right, put this back over here. So to start with the coin purse, we are going to make our slip knot, and we are going to chain 20. So get ready. We're going to chain 20. Perfect. Now following the pattern, we are going to double crochet in the back loop only, and we're going to go into that third chain. So we're going to double crochet. Here's 1, 2, 3. So we're going to go into that back loop only, and we're going to do a double crochet right here. Now we're going to double crochet all the way to the end in the back loop only the whole way. And get all the way to the end. Now we should have 18 double crochets. So let's count that to make sure that we've got our 18 on this side. Perfect. Now we are going to turn so that we're looking at the opposite side, and we're going to double crochet in each one of the other side of that chain. So get ready to double crochet. You're going to go into the opposite side of this first chain right here. Let's make sure that's correct. So right here is the other side of that chain, right? So the opposite side. So double crochet there and double crochet just in the opposite side of those chains. Remember how we did the back loop only on the other side? This is technically the front loop only, except for now that we've turned it, it's the back loop only as well. So we're just going into the other side of those chains all the way back until we get to the front, or where we started. Now at the end of this row, we should end up with 36 double crochets. So we're going to count that before we get to the end and make sure that's correct, because 36 is a very important number. Look at me getting a knot. Probably from the way I pulled that yarn out. What'd you think? There we go. All right, let's do our double crochets. Looks like we've got one more. Let's go ahead and count while it's flat like this. Let's go ahead and count and see how many stitches we have around the whole thing. $36. It's beautiful. So now we are going to join to the top of that first stitch. So we're going to join right into both of those sides of that stitch with a slip stitch. So go ahead and pull that on through. Now you've got 36 double crochets in an oval. All right, now that we've got row 1 completed and we've got our slip stitch, we're going to start row 2 by chaining 2, which does not count as a stitch. We're going to double crochet in each stitch around. So this row we're going to end up with 36, just like we have on our first row. So go into that same stitch as the join and do your double crochet. And now do 36 double crochets around and join back to the top of this stitch that we just made. If you want to, you can put a stitch marker in that first one so that you know where it is. It's not necessary, but if you want to, you totally can. So that's my first one, that's my second one. I'm going to go to 36 all the way around here and join back up. $35 and then 36. Perfect. So now we're going to join to the top of that actual double crochet. If I had put a stitch marker, it would be in this one right here. So I'm going to join to the top of that first actual double crochet that we made, right? So that means that we've got 36 stitches in this round, and technically we need to flip it like this. So this is the bottom of our coin purse. Let me grab the completed one and we will look at the differences here. It should be identical, right? So here's the bottom of our purse, here's the bottom of this one. I know this one's harder to see, that's why I picked this color to crochet, but you can see that the bottom here looks exactly the same as this one does. So I'm going to reset my camera and we will start on those crocodile stitches and working our way up. All right, we are ready to start with the first row of crocodile stitches. Before I do that, you might not want to, but before I do that, I'm gonna weave in this end from where we started so that we don't get confused looking at it. Or so it's not just hanging out. I'm gonna weave in this end real quick. And since it's a knot, I'm not gonna worry about it being too secure. I'm just gonna weave this in right along the base of this double crochet row. Might have needed a smaller needle, apparently. We're just gonna put it in a little ways. I'm gonna trim that. Cool. All right, so to start this first row of crocodile stitches, we're going to be looking at the outside of the coin purse, just like we are right now. We're gonna insert that hook. Now, to start this row, this is the row that we really need to pay the most attention to on the entire thing to make sure that we're placing our crocodile stitches in the right place. So, what we're going to do to start, we are going to chain 2 to get that crocodile stitch started. Now we are going to go into the post directly below. We're not going to go into this chain right here. We're going into the actual first double crochet from that last row. So what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet 3 times around that post. Okay, so find the actual post. This is the chain, this is the post. So do 3 double crochets around this post. 1, 2, 3. And it does help if you turn it to where it's looking like this instead of like this, you know what I mean? So now that we've got our 3 double crochets, we're going to chain 1 and that's going to be the bottom of the crocodile scale. Now we turn it this way and see this next post right here. We're going to do 3 double crochets up this post. So yarn over and make 3 double crochets around that post right here. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. So this is our first crocodile stitch. How adorable is that little guy? Adorable. Now we are going to slip stitch. Okay, we're going to skip this post right here, and we're going to skip this one right here, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of this one, so the third one. So 1, 2, 3, slip stitch into the top of that third, slip that bad boy together. Now, since we went into that slip stitch, we're going to skip the next one, so slip stitch into this one, skip this one, and then do 3 double crochets around the very next one. So 3 double crochets here, 1, 2, 3. Now that we're done, we're going to chain 1, turn to where you're looking at it the opposite way, and we're going to do our 3 double crochets around this one right here. Like this. 1, 2, 3. Now we are going to skip that one, slip stitch into the top of the third. All right, we slip stitch into that one. We're going to skip the next one, 3 double crochet around the next one. 1, 2, 3. Now we're at the bottom of that scale, so we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn it so we're looking at the other post, and we're going to do 3 double crochet up this post. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's take a look at our crocodile stitches. Ah, they're looking so cute. Looking awesome. So now we just finished another crocodile stitch. We're going to skip the next post, skip the next post, slip stitch into the top of that third one. Now we slip stitched into that one, slip stitch in that one, skip that one, 3 double crochet around this one. 1, 2, 3. Done with our 3, so we chain 1, go up the next side here on this post. We're going to do 3 double crochet up this one. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to skip that one, slip stitch to the top of the third, slip stitched in that one, so we're going to skip that one and we're going to 3 double crochet around this one. 1, 2, 3. Yay, I got through my yarn barf. All right, we're at the bottom of that first side of that stitch. Chain 1 and we're going to turn it so we can go up the next side. So here's that next post. We're going to do 3 double crochets right around this one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, skip that one, slip stitch to the top of the third, slip stitch there, so we're going to skip that one, 3 double crochet around the next one. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, turn it so you're looking at the other side, and 3 double crochet around the next post. 1, 2, 3. So now we should have, at the end of this row, we should have a total of 6 scales. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you're looking at this and you're like, holy cow, I've got this huge gap right here. Well, not really, because we're going to skip this one and skip this one. We're going to slip stitch to the top of this one right here. But before we slip stitch here, we're going to insert our hook into the side of this first crocodile stitch to kind of cinch those together. Otherwise, this is just going to be flapping around here and loosey-goosey, and we don't want that. We want it to be nice and concise, right, and together. So pull it out just a little bit. I find that helps. Find the first double crochet from this one. So here's our chain at the bottom. See where our chain is here? We're going to find the first actual double crochet. So the very first top of that one right here. We're going to find that before we stick our yarn into slip stitch. And this is the hardest part, I think, of this whole row, is making sure that you get this placed correctly. So if we went around this one for all of our double crochets, we're going to skip that one, and slip stitch into the top of this one right here. So finding where that is probably going to be your hardest part. So there's where we insert our hook. Now you're going to do your slip stitch through all of them. And now that looks nice because these two are connected the way that all of the other ones are, if that makes sense. So if you need to rewatch this portion of the row 3, this is really the most important row for the whole entire coin purse. After here, it's all smooth sailing. So I'm going to pull my yarn a little bit, and we'll take a look and make sure that at the end of row 3, right, you've got 6 scales for the coin purse size. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 right on the end here, 5, 6. So you've got 2 in the middle of each side and 1 on each end. Okay, so now we are done with row 3, and we are ready to continue by making the foundation for the next row of crocodile stitches. Row 4, got that little turned around here. Row 4, we are making V-stitches, which are going to be the foundation for the next row. So on row 4, we are going to start that out with a chain 3. Now we are going to double crochet in the same space where that chain is coming out of. So do a double crochet right inside of there, in between those scales. And this row, you really won't be able to see it. So if you get it like kind of a little skewed, that's okay. I mean, the more you do it, the better you'll get. So we've created a V right here. So we're going to create these V's all the way around. Next, we're going to go into, we did in between the scales there, we're going to do 2 double crochets in the center of this scale. So 2 double crochets right here. Perfect. Now we're going to do 2 double crochets in between these 2 scales right here. 1, 2. Now we're going to do 2 double crochets in the center of that scale. 1, 2. Now we're going to do 2 double crochets in between, right? So we're just alternating in between, in the center, in between, in the center, and make sure you do 2 double crochets each time. We're making these little V stitches, which we will then use on the next round to create more crocodile scales. Let me pull my yarn. So 2 in the center of the next scale. 2 in between these scales. 2 in the center. 2 in between. In the center. In between. And then in the center. Now when we get to the end here, this is where we started. This is our chain 3, and this is our first double crochet. We are going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. So here's chain 1, here's chain 2, here's chain 3. We're going to slip stitch right to the top of that chain 3. Slip stitch those together. So now that is the end of row 4. You should have a row of crocodile stitches and then a row of V stitches. Next, we're going to do another row of the crocodile stitches. All right, we are ready to start our new row of crocodile stitches. This will be row 5. Now, in order to start row 5, what we're going to want to do, we want to offset these crocodile stitches. So we don't want to put one right on top of each other. We want to put them in the middle so that they kind of overlap, right? So since we are starting with a V stitch that is already in between these two scales right here, we're going to do our chain 2, and we're going to do our double crochets like the way we did the 3 and the 3. We're going to do that right around these V stitches right here. So I'm going to do 3 double crochets right around this first one, which is actually the chain. So we're going to do 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 1. Now do 3 double crochets up this other side. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Crocodile stitch number 1 made, and it's sitting right in between these two. It looks nice and pretty. Beautiful, beautiful. Now we've got this V stitch in the center of this last crocodile stitch. We're going to anchor this one, so we're just going to do a slip stitch right in the middle of that V. Slip stitch that together. Now we're going to do a crocodile stitch around this V right here. So we're going to do 3, chain 1, and do 3 on the other side of that V. And it really does help to turn your work like I'm doing. It helps you to get in the right places when you're doing those stitches. All right, so now we got 3. Now we're going to slip stitch in the center of the next V. Now we're going to do our crocodile stitch around this one. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1. Now do 3 double crochets up the other side of that V. Slip stitch in the center of the next V. Crocodile stitch around this V. 3, chain 1, and do the 3 on this side. Slip stitch, V stitch or crocodile stitch around this V stitch. Chain 1, do the other half of that crocodile right up this post right here. Slip stitch, crocodile stitch. Chain 1, finish the other half, At the end of this row, you should also have 6 scales. So every row you should have 6. We can count if you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Now, just like we did on the first row when we anchored those two together, what we're going to do here, we're going to go pull out just a little bit, insert into that top of that double crochet just like we did on the last row. We're going to hook the top to anchor it. So when you read the pattern, if you have the pattern, that's what I mean when I say to anchor that stitch. That's exactly what you're doing. Now you want to go into the center of that V from the last one. So we're going to kind of hook in the middle of that V. Now pull your yarn a little bit and then slip stitch through all of that. All of that. Right? Pull our yarn. Let's take a look at what we got. Ta-da! It's looking fantastic. Isn't that great? I love it. Here's our little coin purse looking fabulous. Now we are going to repeat rows 4 and 5 2 more times. So if you're making the cosmetic size bag, you'll repeat it more because obviously it's taller. If you're making the full purse size, you'll continue and make it even taller. You'll just follow those. For this purpose, we are going to do row 4 again, which was those V stitch rows. So we're going to do a row of V stitches. 1, 2, 3. Double crochet in the same space. It's easier now that you've got that V there. You just go right into the middle of that V. Now we're going to do 2 double crochets in the center of that scale. 2 double crochets in between, so right in that V, go right into there. Do 2 double crochets there. In the center of the next crocodile stitch. 2 in between in that V. In the center. In between. Now that we are around, we're going to go slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. So where my thumb is right here, that's a double crochet. We're going to find the top of that chain 3. So there's number 1, there's number 2, and there's number 3. Slip stitch into that. And you've got your V stitches, your row of V stitches. Now we're going to do another row of the crocodile stitches, and we're going to continue placing them offset, right? So now these are going to be in between these. So this one is going to line up with this one, but they're still offset. So we're going to do a chain 2. We're going to 3 double crochet around this one, chain 3 double crochet up this one. It's the same thing we've been doing. All the way around. Slip, crocodile. Slip, croc, slip, croc, slip, crock, slip, and then one more crock. Now we are to the end, so we are going to anchor that first one. Remember, we don't want it loosey-goosey, so pull your yarn out a little bit, insert it into the top of that 3. So there's our chain. There's 1, 2, 3. This is that first double crochet. Right into there, find the middle of that B, right there, and slip through all of that. Pull your yarn. Nice. Perfect. Now, you know what, guys? We only have one more row of crocodile stitches, and that's it. Isn't that so quick? I love it. Let me reset my camera. We'll do one more row of those crocodile stitches, and then we'll do that top row, which is what we'll use to sew into the zipper and all that good stuff. So I'm going to reset, and we will get finished. All right, so right now we have 3 rows of crocodile stitches. We have 1, 2, 3. We want one more for this coin purse, so we're going to do another row of V stitches. 1, 2, 3. Double crochet into that same space, so inside of that B right there. And now make your V stitches all the way around, your 2 double crochets all the way around. Now we made our way back. We're going to find the top of that chain 3, slip stitch into it, both sides, lovely, lovely. Pull that right on through. Now we're going to make our last row of crocodile stitches. So we're going to have that off-centered again, so we're going to use this first V-stitch right here to do our chain 2 and crocodile. So here is the body of our coin purse, and we are so close to being done. We only have one more row, and this is a single crochet row. This last row, all we're using that for is to make these sides prettier, right? Because this is exactly where we're going to sew our zipper in. We don't want to leave these kind of gnarly looking sides with these big V's and everything else. So in order to clean these up a bit, we are going to do our final row. We're going to chain one. We're going to single crochet in that same space. So just put a single crochet right in there. Now, I like to kind of tighten that up just a little bit. Now, what we're actually crocheting into here for this row is the V stitches from the previous row, okay? I know that might be kind of hard to wrap your head around for a second. Let me see if I can explain it a little bit better. So when we make our V stitches, what we're doing on the following row is we're going around these V stitches, right? So we're actually just kind of surfacing on the top. So now, when we go onto the actual top of it, we're going into those V stitches from back when we created them as a base for this crocodile scale, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So now we are going to skip the next stitch, which would be this one right here, right? We're going to go into this one, so the one right on the side of on the top of one of the sides of the scales right here. So we're going right into the top of this right here. We're gonna single crochet very carefully. All right, now we are going to single crochet in the center of the scale. Perfect. Now we're going to single crochet in the next. So we're going to, actually right here. So we're gonna skip that one, we're gonna go into this one, and that keeps it kind of cleaner. So let's do this again. We're going to do this the whole way around, so we'll have plenty of opportunity to watch what I'm doing. Now we are going to single crochet in between the next two scales. So single crochet in here. Kind of pull that a little bit tight. Now we're going to skip this one because it's just really, it would be really hard to get into. So we're going to go into the top of this one right here and single crochet right there. Kind of tighten that up just a little bit. Now go into the center of that scale, single crochet. Now we're going to go into the next stitch right here. Go into the center in between those scales and do another single crochet. Tighten that up just a little bit. I always like to tighten that one just a little. Now we're going to single crochet in the top of this stitch. In the center of the scale. And now in the top of that next one. Now in between those scales, tighten that one up, skip that one right there. We're going to go into the next one that's actually, you can see, right? Single crochet into that one. Single crochet in the center of that scale. Single crochet in the next one. Single crochet in the middle. Tighten that one just a little. Now we're going to single crochet in the top of that next stitch. Tighten it up a little in the center of that stitch. And then in the next stitch that we can see. In between these scales. In the next stitch that we can see. Now in the center, in the next. And now we are back to where we placed that first single crochet, so we're going to actually do an invisible join. I think that that makes it look the best. So if you don't know how to do that, you're about to learn. Cut that yarn right over there. Do not join to your first single crochet, okay? We're about to do that now, but do not. Instead of that, go ahead and pull your yarn all the way through. You're going to thread your yarn needle. Completely. Okay, so now we've got the yarn coming out of this stitch right here, right? You're like, whoa, that kind of looks funky. I'm like, yeah, it does. So let's fix it. We're going to take this and insert your needle into the top of that first single crochet right there, right? So the very top of that first single crochet from this row. Put it in front to back. And now you're going to take your needle, pull your yarn towards you a little bit so you can see what you're doing. Take your needle and insert it into that same. Where that yarn came out of, you're going to put it right back into that one. Okay, now pull that. And now you're going to pull it just a little bit tight. And it really cinches it together where you can't even see where that seam is, right? And that's kind of important because this seam ends right in the middle of our coin purse, and you're like, holy crap, we gotta make sure that looks good, right? So we don't want a big ugly knot where we join. So now that we've got this pulled through, this looks like an actual stitch, which it is not, but that's okay. I won't tell if you don't tell. Now we're going to weave in this end right through the middle of that last V-stitch. Be careful not to pull it too tight because it will pull right here. Just make sure that this stitch looks good as you're weaving in these ends. I'm going to turn mine inside out and just weave in a little bit of my ends just to make sure that it's not going anywhere. Perfect. All right, let me trim that. Flip it back inside out or right side out, and we have crocheted part 1 of this coin purse pattern. Isn't this awesome? So this is part 1. It's so easy, so quick, and the next on part 2 we are going to add we're going to use our thread. We are going to add our lining, which I haven't decided yet if I'm going to use this fabric or this fabric. I might end up going with this one just because it's so much fun. Yeah, let's do this one. So we're going to use, on part 2, when we do our next installment of this crochet along, we are going to cut our zipper to length, cut our fabric, iron our fabric to make sure that the lining is going to line up perfectly inside of our little coin purse, and then we are going to sew the zipper and the lining with our matching thread. It's going to be pretty awesome, so make sure you tune in for part 2.